All right, guys, in this video, I wanted to talk to you a bit about the gear that I use to run this YouTube channel, for all of our social media, and even some gear for the website, TXGARAGE.com. So I've been asked a lot about the gear that I use, and I'm considering upgrading a bunch of that gear. So I wanted to make this video with what I'm using now so I can show you guys what's in the bag. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So let's start off with YouTube. When I'm heading out to make a review video, I usually grab 2 bags. The contents of those 2 bags have changed throughout the last 2 years, but let me show you my setup that I'm using right now. First of all, first bag is this right here. It's okay. It's not my favorite bag. It's got a lot of space in it in the back, but in the front there's not a bunch of space, and it has no pouch for the laptop. Not the greatest bag. I'll upgrade that sooner or later. On the side right here is a little case for all SD cards. You can't have enough SD cards just in case. On this side, this is filters for your lenses. Really great to have. And just keep them strapped right here because you never know when you're going to need to throw an extra ND lens on or something like that, which we'll get into a little bit. We'll get into a little bit more if that's something that you're interested in. All right, now let's open up the bag. I don't know how great y'all can see this, but it's kind of just jam-packed with stuff. Right on the top, just laying there, is this just LED panel light. This is great when you're going from outside to inside in a shaded car, and you need a little extra light to see some of those darker features in your car. It's also a great studio light, so doing videos like this, if I wanted better light, I could have this set up as a second studio light. Let's jump into the main camera. So this is the main camera. This is a Canon SL2. I think it's a great camera. Obviously, it's kind of their bottom of the line camera, but it has the same sensor as the like T7i and I think 70D or 80D. It's a great sensor, and it does pretty good video. Obviously, if I wanted to upgrade something to bump my quality of video, a new camera is going to be a crucial part of that. But I also think that instead of investing more into a camera, investing more into lenses is a great way to go for people, because this does everything that you need it to do video-wise, especially for starting out on YouTube. But I don't need 4K. More resolution is always more fun, but it's also a heavier load on the computer to edit it. But better lenses are always going to give you a better quality image. The lens on here is an EFS 17 to 55 millimeter. It's a constant aperture of 2.8, which means you get that really good bokeh effect where the background is very blurry and the foreground is in focus. It is an image stabilized lens, and of course it's got automatic focus. And this camera does have the dual pixel autofocus from Canon, which is great. It also has the flip out screen that flips around, so you can do vlogging or talking to the camera, framing yourself in the camera really well. I want to do a deeper dive on this camera and why I use it and why I really like it for what it is, and other options that I'm thinking if I do upgrade, but that'll be in a separate video. So I do photos and video on this camera, and when I'm doing video, I usually use this lens. If I'm doing photos, I usually use this lens. This is a 75 to 300. It's a pretty cheap Canon lens, but it gets the job done. It doesn't have a constant aperture. It's a 4 to 5.6, depending on the zoom range. You want that long focal length that'll also give you good depth of field and just make some solid images. Another lens that I have is this pretty old school 35 to 80 millimeter. I don't even have a lens cap on this. This literally came on a camera that cost me $5, and I've been using the lens. It's been pretty solid so far. It gets some pretty good images out of it. So don't hesitate to pick up older cameras if you find really good deals, especially if they've got these like unique little lenses on them. Audio wise, I use a Rode mic, and this is one of the Rode Mic Go, I believe it is. So it's powered through the camera, which is really important for me. I don't have to worry about extra batteries and stuff. I used to use a different mic that you had to put batteries in. It was a pain in the butt. This one is great, and it renders really good audio even in the wind outside with this windscreen. I also have an extra set of filters right here. These are the NDs that I use predominantly with this lens. Like I said, it's always great to just have these handy, because outside, when it's really bright out there, especially in the Texas sun, you definitely have to have these NDs if you want to get a really good image out of the camera. I also have a couple extra lights in here. For some of the same reasons, you can just illuminate the interior of cars a little bit better. So you don't have to crank up the ISO on your camera and get a bunch of grainy images. Obviously some cleaning cloth, and this is a little waterproof case for the phone from SeaWorld, but I've used it when I've been out shooting in the rain or different things like that, just to keep the phone protected. All right, and then this right here is for white balancing. Quite often I trust the white balancing of this camera. I just set it if I'm outside to outside. If it's cloudy, I put it on cloudy, and so forth. But if I really want the perfect white balance, I'll either adjust it to this, or I'll take a picture or video with this in it, and then you correct it in your software afterwards. But yeah, this is a really great little tool to have in case you need it, and it folds up quite tightly and fits in the corner of the bag. Lastly, we have a little GoPro session thrown in here. I love these little things. You don't get the monitor, so you can't really see exactly where you're looking at, but you can kind of judge it. And also you got the phone app where you can see where it's pointing. But I like these for the compactness. I also like the bigger GoPros. I'll probably end up getting one of the new 7s. I do like those as well. But this has been a workhorse for me, and you can put it anywhere. It's still waterproof and everything, so you can run it through the water. I used it in Hawaii in the ocean. Great camera. A couple other little accessories, but not a big deal. Nothing really packed in there. So that's this camera bag done. And obviously that's the big one. My next one is just this bag that I carry. Sometimes I'll carry different bags, but I just have a bunch of stuff thrown in here, including the drone. So the drone that I use on my review videos right now is the DJI Spark. It's not my favorite drone, but it gets the job done. I don't use a ton of drone footage. I don't think it's completely necessary, but I like to get a little bit because it can help establish the scene and just get some unique views of cars that you don't normally get. You can also put it into basically tripod mode, where it actively tracks you, so I can just set it up and drive around in the car, and it can kind of track me to get some driving shots, because I am normally doing this just one guy out there shooting video, so it's hard for me to get driving shots in these cars. So this helps a lot. I do want to get a separate bag for that, because the remote is just thrown in there with these things hanging out. I do want to get the extra bag that can kind of hold this the way that it's supposed to be held, without just having to throw it into these bags. And everything else in here is GoPro mounts and GoPro mounts. Sometimes I'll throw different lights or different things into this bag, but that's usually about it for reviews. Now I use this Repo tripod that folds out. It's a really solid tripod. I like it a lot. It gets up to, I think, 7 feet, which is great. But yeah, this is the tripod that I use. And obviously with both photos and video, tripods are very important. A lot of my videos I'll carry around the camera, but you also want some locked off shots where it's sitting there and you're talking to the camera. Definitely a good solid tripod, especially with the wind. This thing is heavy. I've had it out blowing in the wind. I've had other tripods that have fallen on me. This thing has never fallen on me, so it's a great tripod. Another thing I bring sometimes is this slider. It's a small slider and cars are big, so you don't get a lot of motion. It's good if you've got a couple of good shots to get out of it, but for the most part I usually don't bring this. It's just an extra headache sometimes, but if I'm looking for a specific shot, this is a really good option. And I just got this video tripod head mounted to the top of it to make it easier to put on and off the camera. And that kind of wraps up my YouTube setup. I edit in Premiere Pro. I don't really do After Effects work for my review videos. But yeah, I think that's pretty extensive and pretty much wraps that up. Let's move on to social media. So I also use a lot of the same gear for some of my social media posts. If I'm making a video for Instagram or for Facebook and I want it to be pretty high quality, I'll use the GoPro or the big camera and still edit those if it's going to be a vertical video. If you saw my how I do Instagram videos, I explained a little bit of this before, but I will use some of the big stuff, but mostly my cell phone is going to be obviously a great tool for video editing. And I did just upgrade to the XS or the 10S, the iPhone 10S. So I'm already getting some great images and video out of that. So if you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, be looking forward to more posts there as I just play around with my new phone. Some of the apps that I use are stuff like Snapseed, which is a photo editing app. It gives you a lot of control. I like it a lot. Obviously, I do editing on Instagram sometimes. Usually I'll edit photos. If I shoot photos for a review, I'll edit them on the computer in Lightroom and then just upload them straight to Instagram from the phone. If I take pictures from the phone, sometimes I'll edit settings in Instagram. They have, if you don't pick a standard filter and you go into edit and edit your own settings, you can get pretty good results that way. You can also edit your photos straight from your phone app. Your Photos app from your phone. So once you take a picture, you can go into it and edit some of your settings. I'll do that sometimes as well. It just depends on where I'm uploading it and what kind of look I'm going for. So going even a little bit further with the phone, I have Adobe Spark because I have Adobe Suite. I use Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Illustrator, Lightroom, like I've already talked about. But I also have Adobe Spark on my phone. And this is a cool app that lets you put text and graphics and stuff on top of photos and do some pretty cool things. So pretty much every one of my thumbnails for YouTube were created using Adobe Spark. So I'll take a photo that I took during the review or a specific photo. I'll edit it in Lightroom. I'll put it on my phone. I'll open it in Spark. I'll add the text and graphics to it for the thumbnail, and then upload it to YouTube from my phone. It's a pretty cool process, but I really like that app and that feature. All right, so let's talk a little bit about web publishing. So I don't do a lot of writing myself these days, outside of script writing for videos and stuff like that. But I do have, so we have like 3 dedicated writers on TXGARAGE.com and David, our editor. There's still a lot of content posted up there, and usually the workflow goes, they'll write a piece, they'll send it to David, our managing editor. David will edit it and give his opinion on it and then send it to me. then I'm responsible for getting that copy online, attributing it to the right author, getting photos if they're not already provided by whoever wrote the review or whatever it is. So it's a good process. I use a very popular app that runs TexasGarage, the back end of TexasGarage, so that it makes it easier for publishing for me. But yeah, as I've talked about before, if I'm doing something special like photo editing, I've used an application called Sketch, and I've used, you know, the whole Adobe suite to help get photos or different edits for the posts that way. Normally it's just me going in and managing publishing post onto the website, as well as all the social media and YouTube stuff that I'm doing. But that's a wrap on this video. I hope you guys enjoyed or learned something from this. If you're interested in a deeper dive into anything that I talked about here, the web publishing, the social media stuff, the gear that I showed, let me know in the comments below, and I'll make a dedicated video for that. I definitely want to do a deeper dive into the camera and give you some thoughts on what I'm looking to upgrade to. I also want to do a deeper dive into some lenses that I've chose and why I've chose them over other lenses. But definitely, if there's something that you're interested in, hit me up down below. Let me know. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. And as always, thanks for watching.